Tomorrow's a new year. Let's bury the hatchet and stop acting like children. I'll shake hands if you will.
Okay. Everybody else is closed but Ralph.
Wait till Novotny leaves the block. His car's down at the corner.
Suppose Ralph says no again. What's the play? Little acid on his nice new suits? Well, he's got to have some kind of a lesson to bring him in line.
It won't be the kind he'll talk about.
You might kill him.
He had a chance to buy protection. He didn't want it.
There goes Novotny.
One night, about 15 months after the slaying of storekeeper Ralph Orville, I was attending a farewell dinner for Captain Clint MacArthur of Homicide. My name is Frank Ballinger, Detective Lieutenant, M Squad, a special detail of the Chicago Police. Along with Captain Gray and the brass of a few other divisions, I was honoring a great police officer. After 35 years of service, Clint was retiring.
You know you don't move fast enough or think fast enough at my age. No. It's all right for other people, but not for a cop. It starts you thinking about the night that you got to make sure never comes. The night when one of your men lies on a slab in the morgue because you weren't fast enough. Or the night when fear of it drives you into being too fast with an innocent man. I heard one the other day that I think you'll like.
How do you think it went?
Fine. But something's eating him.
Yeah, he's got something on his mind.
Hey, you two, wait for me. Great to see you again, Mike. Drop in and see me sometime. Thanks for the party, Cap. It was swell.
Well, now that you're retired, Clinton, you can relax.
Don't worry, he will.
Thanks, Frank. I'll try. Yeah, I've got to try.
Oh, come on, Clint. A month from now, you'll be glad you're out of it.
Will I?
Oh, sure.
Then help me. The man's going to die in the chair Tuesday night. A shopkeeper by the name of Walter Novotny. I put him there.
Oh, a jury put him there, Clint, for killing a business rival.
On evidence that I gathered. Oh, I know. There's where my job ended. But I missed something. Somewhere I missed something. I feel it at night. I dream about it. That man is innocent.
Don't ride yourself, Clint. Nobody likes to send a man to the electric chair.
Well, somehow he's gotten to me.
Well, there's something in everybody that you can like. He claims that he's innocent. You want to believe him.
You have your doubts, sure. We all have. You're human, but so is a killer.
Yeah, you can like the man. But your instinct tells you this man is capable of murder. Well, I don't feel that way about Novotny. I want to believe he's guilty, but I can't. The evidence says he is, but I just don't believe it.
Well, how can we help you?
Let Frank check back on me. I've exhausted every angle. Let me go out of the department without feeling that I've got blood on my hands.
All right, Clint. How much time is left before the execution?
About 48 hours. In the morning, I checked all police records and the transcript of Novotny's trial. The jury hadn't shared Clint's doubts. They'd returned a verdict of guilty after less than 2 hours' deliberation. The two shopkeepers had quarreled, and Novotny had been heard threatening the dead man on several occasions. It was a case of circumstantial evidence supported by the testimony of an eyewitness, a prominent woman. But I wanted to see him first, to measure him. I wanted the story from his own lips. So I phoned the warden at the prison, and he set up an interview for me in the death house. Novotny? I'm Lieutenant Ballinger of the Chicago Police.
Who sent you, Captain MacArthur? Are you supposed to get the confession he couldn't get from me?
He sent me down here to try to help you.
Me or his own conscience?
You're not being very cooperative.
Well, what am I supposed to do? Die with a smile on my face? Should I admit killing a man when I didn't? Would that be cooperative? You're wasting your time. Tell the guard to take me back.
Novotny, Captain MacArthur retired after 35 years of service. One of the reasons was you. Yeah, he thinks you're innocent.
Then why am I here?
So what he thinks doesn't change the evidence.
Evidence.
Don't brush that off so lightly, Novotny. You and Orville hadn't spoken to each other for 6 months prior to his murder. And by your own admission, you'd had a fist fight.
Oh, yes. Fist fight. Did you ever see a fight between two middle-aged shopkeepers, Lieutenant? Two men who spent their lives indoors, never getting any sun or exercise. Oh, sure, some fight.
Why did you start the fight?
He was trying to cut me out. That store was all I ever had. I don't know, when he first opened, he was just selling suits. I thought our businesses would help each other. But then he started to stock shirts, ties, things that I sold. And that wasn't fair. But would I kill him for that?
A jury of 12 men thought you did.
What kind of men, Lieutenant? Men like me? I'm a lonely man, no family. The store, that was my life.
Tell me about New Year's Eve.
People getting ready for fun, and I was alone. That's why I offered to shake hands, Mr. Ballinger. I didn't want an enemy. I needed a friend. Two men were standing across the street by a car. They might have seen it.
They didn't come forward.
No.
A reputable woman, a woman who didn't even know you, stated that she saw you strike Orville, then follow him into the store, come running out and get in your car and drive away.
That's not true.
She identified you in court under oath.
God, take me out of here. Do you go to church, Lieutenant?
Not as often as I should.
The next time you do, say a prayer for Mrs. John Cabot Warren. Because I swear by all that's holy, that woman lied.
It was evening when I got back to town. The Warren apartment was not far from a university campus. The doctor was a scientist and a prominent educator, I'd learned. And his wife was devoted to him.
I don't know what more I can tell you, Lieutenant. I seem to be answering the same questions over and over again. I said everything I had to say in court.
We never can be too sure in a capital offense, Mrs. Warren.
I always regarded the decision of a jury as final.
Well, it usually is, barring new evidence.
What new evidence?
Not allowed to discuss that until I've checked it out. But I can tell you this. It's in direct conflict with your testimony.
Are you accusing me of perjury?
Of course not. Let's just say that I'm suggesting the possibility of a mistake.
There was no mistake. I saw Walter Novotny that New Year's Eve, and I told what I saw him do in court. Now, what more do you want me to say?
But you didn't see him kill Orville.
How could I? I couldn't see into the store. I was parked on the other side of the street.
Then you had no idea that a crime had been committed when he came running out of the store.
No, I just saw a man running. I thought maybe it was a holdup.
Well, why didn't you notify the police? You waited 2 days until January 2nd when they found the body.
There was no alarm or anything. I thought maybe I'd made a mistake. After all, a man in a hurry on New Year's Eve. I was late for a party myself.
Well, I thought you said you were sitting in a parked car.
My purse fell off of the seat onto the floor, and I stopped to pick it up.
Was Dr. Warren with you?
No, he was in California discussing the presidency of a new university. He's there now, finalizing it. Can't you see why I want this over and forgotten?
Well, you don't have long to wait. Novotny dies tomorrow night. You knew that, didn't you? What's the matter? matter, Mrs. Warren? I thought you said you wanted this over and forgotten.
Well, I did for my husband's sake. I didn't mean that I wanted the man dead.
What do you want him to do? Be tucked away in a cell someplace? For the rest of his life while you hope for some miracle to save him? Well, nothing's going to save him unless you change your testament.
I can't. I told the truth.
I hope so.
Well, I did.
Then you can rest easy, Mrs. Warren. You did your civic duty. The law took over, now the states can execute him. But if you lied, I hope you can live with it. Because you will have killed Novotny as certainly as if you pulled the switch with your own hand. Good night, Mrs. Warren. When I got off duty, I went home, but I couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m., I got up and drove over to Bristol Avenue, where Novotny used to have his store. Ralph's store was taken over by a relative and was still in business. A new tenant had rented Novotny's for a music shop. There was nothing to restrict the view from across the street. It was in keeping with Mrs. Warren's testimony.
Hold it, mister. Get your hands high and freeze. Gun, huh?
Here's something to go with it.
Gee, Lieutenant, I'm sorry.
What outfit do you work for?
Pelton's Protective Police?
Were you on duty the night that Orville was killed?
Yes, sir, but I didn't see anything.
Well, I didn't discover the body for 2 days, yet the door was unlocked. I thought you men were supposed to check the locks twice on every turn.
Well, I explained that to Homicide, Lieutenant. Ralph Orville never took our service.
Did Novotny?
No, sir.
Let me just tell you one thing. Never stick a gun in a man's back, because he knows anything about judo. He's liable to take it away from you.
Yes, sir.
Pelton was out of town, and Joey Devon, the salesman, was running the business. He hadn't been screened by the police because he wasn't a patrolman.
You'll have to see Pelton about that. Nobody can walk in here and make us show our books.
I simply asked you how many customers you were protecting.
I don't know. I'm just a salesman.
Mr. Devon, haven't we met somewhere before?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty good on faces.
Well, I'm only in Chicago 3 years. Always in the selling game.
8, 9 years ago.
What?
We met somewhere.
8 years ago, I was in Kansas City.
I wasn't.
What are you driving at?
Well, you know how it is. You see a face, then you try to tie it to a name, and then where you met that face.
Well, unless you were in Kansas City.
Oh, it doesn't mean anything. Look, thank you very much for the information about Mr. Pelton.
Yeah, he's here.
You're sure an early bird.
You just don't go to bed. Hey, Frank. 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 Here.
Oh, hi.
What's this I hear about you giving R&I a bad time last night from 4 to 6 a.m.?
Last night?
Yeah, you had him going nuts looking for a face. Phone calls to Kansas City.
Yeah, I was way out in left field trying to figure out where I knew some hood 8 years ago. I'm warm, but the pieces just don't fit together. Well, by the way, did you get a rundown on Rex Pelton?
Private police? Sure.
You sure he's okay?
Well, I can vouch for Pelton, Frank. He's licensed. So are all his patrolmen.
He only hires men who've passed civil service. Either they're waiting or they didn't make the force.
Well, take a look at this. 8 years ago, he started out with 4 men. Then only 2 years ago, he had 9 men. Look how many he has now.
21?
Yeah, with a lot of stiff competition from other outfits, you know, protection agencies.
What's all this got to do with Novotny?
I don't know. But what's Pelton doing hiring a hood like Joey Devon? Huh? I think I want to talk to him. Oh, by the way, can you get me a rundown on Mrs. Warren?
Oh, we did that long ago. She's got no record.
Well, let's try the civil files then, you know, birth certificates, marriage license, anything like that. I want to know everything about her from the day she was born.
You think she was lying?
I don't know. All I know is that Novotny goes tonight. I set up a fast check on the Pelton agency's customers. The merchants we talked to were frightened men. Most of them praised Pelton's policemen with a scared look. But 2 of them told the truth. Joey Devon was the man who was pressuring them, demanding more than the regular fee. Those who didn't buy this service had been beaten or had their merchandise damaged. Devon was a man who created fear.
Some salesman. He's stealing twice as much as his boss Pelton is making.
More. He doesn't have to pay salaries or commissions. So Pelton gets lazy, the salesman takes over.
Does all this relate to the Novotny case?
I don't know, it might. You see, Devin was drumming up business at the time, putting pressure on small store owners.
Well, Novotny never complained about Pelton's service. Just didn't take it.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing much here on Mrs. Warren.
Oh, the woman's clear. 1 traffic ticket 5 years ago for driving without a license.
Without a license. Hey, what license? This marriage license. Place of birth, yeah. Lisa Warren, born Lisa Harris, January 27, 1924, Waterloo, Iowa. Wait a second. Yeah. Joey Devereaux, born November 16, 1922, Waterloo, Iowa.
Both from the same town.
Yeah. A couple of years difference in their age. The town that size, they must have known each other.
Torpedo and Dr. Warren's wife.
But she wasn't always Mrs. Warren. And Devin wasn't born a Torpedo. I'm gonna have him in.
Lisa Harris. Lisa Warren? Oh, I never heard of her. Who is she? You see, I left that town in 43 to go into the Army. Never went back.
Devin, would you mind standing up and turning around? I want to see what you're carrying.
You can't frisk me.
Man with your record. Don't be silly.
What's with this Warren woman?
Well, she identified some man that wouldn't buy your protection service.
Who's that?
Novotny?
Oh, him. Yeah, he was in Fred Snade's district. I didn't contact him.
Oh, where's Snade? Dead?
All I know is he walked out on us.
Without any salary or commission, huh? Get your hat and coat. Let's go downtown and talk about that.
Okay. Turn around. Get your hands up. Come on. Don't ask for it, copper. You ask real hard. Now get over there. Door to the cellar. Come on.
Devin preferred a cell to talking. He swore we'd never get anything out of him. But he'd shown fear at the mention of Mrs. Warren's name and Snade's death. So I went to see the woman again.
I mean, what are you trying to do? Torture me? I told you I don't know this man you arrested. Now, what do you want me to do?
Just satisfy me on one point.
All right, anything you wish, but stop this hounding.
I want you to face Novotny and tell me that he was the man that you saw run into Ralph's store that New Year's Eve.
I testified
No, look in
that
his face and tell me that.
Why don't you leave me alone?
It'll only take a couple of hours. Suppose it was your husband.
My husband? What's my husband got to do with this? My husband's an important man, and you're trying to hurt him because of a nobody, a man that doesn't have anything.
Except a life until 11 o'clock tonight. Come with me. Unless you're afraid.
No, I'm not afraid. But I won't go with you, and you can't make me.
No, I can't. But I can make you a promise, Mrs. Warren. If you don't come with me, I'm going to turn your life upside down from the day you were born.
Lieutenant, I don't know what good it'll do, but I'll go with you.
What is it, Lieutenant? Why is she here?
You're going to tell him it was a mistake. Aren't you, Mrs. Warren? That's why, isn't it?
Mrs. Warren?
No.
Look at me. Make her look at me.
What are you afraid of? He's behind that wire.
I am not afraid. He's the man I saw that night.
No.
Take me away from here, please. I did what you asked. Now take me away.
Did you think you could go through with this? Have you ever really convinced yourself that this man has to die?
Oh, no. Of course I am.
Whatever your reason was for going this far, it's still not too late.
But no one saw him kill. I was so sure with this doubt that his sentence would be commuted.
There is to be no reprieve. Your testimony put him here. Which charge do you want to face, Mrs. Warren? Perjury or accessory to murder?
Oh, what difference does it make now? I didn't want to hurt my husband. I didn't want to hurt him.
You didn't want what to hurt your husband?
Knowing about me. Such a long time ago. And I was in high school, and I was Joe Devereaux's girl, and we went to a party, and it happened one night, and we were drinking, and on the way home, Joe stole a car. I was young and foolish and stupid. We were on our way to a roadhouse in Midvale, and I wanted to drive. It was a dark country road, and I didn't see the man walking. I didn't see him. I hit him.
Did you kill him?
No. The paper said he'd never walk again.
So you just left him in the road?
Yeah. But I was so frightened. I was only 17.
You're not 17 now.
No, but I've sent him money whenever I could.
It seems there's always somebody that you have to help. This time it was your husband.
Yeah. Joe told me that he'd send a letter to the Waterloo police if I didn't help him.
So he made you lie about seeing Novotny that night?
Yeah. I love my husband, and I didn't want him to know about me. Joe told me that he'd lose his position, and no other university would ever touch him, and I didn't want that to happen. I'll help you now. I'll tell you anything you want to know if you'll just help me because of my husband.
What you've done, nobody's going to blame your husband for that.
Talk to me, please. I told the truth. I wouldn't have let you die. I wouldn't.
I'm sorry for you, Mrs. Warren. I'm really sorry for you.
It took several days for the necessary papers to come through. I wanted Clint to take them to the prison personally, but he was ill. The credit belonged to Clint, and I made Novotny realize that he had a real friend there. It didn't take long before Novotny was replaced by Joey Devon in that cell block. Mrs. Warren drew a stiff sentence for her part. As for Novotny, he opened a new store. I dropped by the other day to buy a shirt. Clint was there buying a necktie.